friends. This is the Be Real Babe podcast, a place where your average Canadian wolfpack come together to talk about life stresses, messes, and successes. Each week, we will bring you new episodes sharing our experiences on a ton of different topics in hopes that we get a better understanding of ourselves, each other, and this crazy world we live in. We want to build a community where we can show up as ourselves, be real, and lay it all out there. By sharing our experiences, we hope to reach others who can relate so we can all help each other learn, grow, and heal. But please keep in mind, as a disclaimer, none of us here are professionals, no one is giving any advice. We are strictly speaking of our life experiences and for entertainment purposes only. Now, with that being said, it's time. So grab your drink, grab your joint, and let's jump right in. Welcome, friends. This is episode 1 of the Be Real Babe podcast. I cannot believe we are here, you guys. I'm so excited. For those that don't know me, my name is Brandy. I am going to be your host of this wild, crazy show. And with me, I have my beautiful co-host, Kayla.
Hey, girl, and hey, guys. How's it going?
And we are so excited, guys. We want to thank you so much for showing up for our first episode. We have so much to talk about.
Man, it has been so much in the making. I literally can't tell you how thrilled I am. Each time we hop on and record, I get out of my comfort zone, and I think it's maybe the same for you. Hey, Brandy?
Oh, totally. Totally out of my comfort zone.
Words. How do you
Yeah,
word?
so many words. You think it was so easy to talk, and I mean, obviously it's getting easier over time, but, you know, straight up, guys, we are not professional here. We have definitely looked up podcasts and Pinterests and Instagrams and got inspiration how to do this. Myself, I kind of hide myself in the room and I'd get my lights on. I get into this like mood. I have the cats interrupting. I forget how to speak English. It's been hilarious and humbling and fun all in the same.
Super raw, super real, and I can relate. Like I think I pulled like half my clothes out of my closet the other day because I have this. I'll send you a picture, Brandy, but it's funny. I have this weird like sliding closet door, and I pulled like half the clothes out. I rolled my office chair in there, and it was like, yes, this is the place because the sound isn't echoey. I've also hid out in the camper. I have to hide from my son. It's, we're both juggling many things outside of our normal lives inside our podcast life. So it's been wild.
It's been so wild. And I think that's so forgive us, guys. And we're going to thank you right off the bat for holding on to us our first couple episodes. We're aware the audio was a little bit whack, but bear with us because I promise you we will get through it and things are going to be great. So for this episode, let's just jump right in. Kayla, how about you tell our little gang here in our little community, gang, that was probably not the right word, community, how we met.
All right. So Brandy and I met through a mutual friend on social media. She's someone that I know really well. I've known her since high school, and I imagine someone that Brandy also knows really well, probably a little bit of back to high school time as well. Anyways, she brought us together over social media, and we just started connecting and relating to everything we were posting. And it just so happened that both of us had thought about wanting to do a podcast, and literally we were just like, why the hell not? So we spent the last 7 weeks chatting up a storm, getting to know each other, and building this show. And we're so excited to finally be in the stages of passing it on and putting it out there because we can't wait to connect with our community.
Yes, what a perfect way to explain how we met. It was such a neat thing. We were both wanting it. We were getting to know each other. We spent all this time kind of going back and forth to make sure, how we could do this and make sure, could we end up doing this? And we ended up talking for like 2-3 hours every night. So it kind of made it obvious, like, oh, for sure, we could probably put some structure into this and make a podcast for sure. So that kind of brings us to how we're going to be doing this, guys. So what we're going to do is every month we're going to basically have a theme. And in that theme, we're going to have topics for the week. So for example, there could be mental health, which will be a reoccurring theme because it's such an important one to us and something we're very, very, very interested in talking about and sharing with you guys. So in that aspect, we'll have mental health, and then there'll be topics such as like body image and anxiety, depression, just on topics that, speak to us. So we're really excited, and that kind of brings us to why we wanted to do this, or I should say, why my whys and not speak for Kayla. We'll let her explain as well, her whys. But for my whys, I really wanted to connect with others like I normally do in my normal life with these normal life situations. And I just felt like in 2020, it was a lot harder to connect to people, and the online space is just a little bit scary and you just don't feel as personally connected. So for myself, I just was really getting into YouTube, into podcasts, and I was just kind of lost and confused on where to look at when you're just, just a basic Canadian chick. I'm sure there's a lot I just didn't know. And, if you guys always known me, I love chatting, and I always feel like I learn so much about myself and others when, people come to me or I go to them about my personal life. And so it just seemed like the perfect time to put it out there. I'm generally, if you know me on social media, I feel like I'm pretty real and honest about things, but I just thought I should be a little bit more, because every time I'm vulnerable in a post, I find that I always get people messaging me saying, thank you for sharing that. I'm going through that. And you notice when other people share and they're vulnerable, they usually get that exact same response. So I thought, why not go ahead and do this? I really want to talk about my real life experiences and figure out why I did those things. Why did it make me feel that way? How can I get better from it? And, and if I'm going through that healing and that journey myself, maybe that'll help others. Maybe by speaking out loud about it, someone else will relate to that and want to share their experiences, or even just, quietly absorb it and take note for themselves. And, we want to have guest stars on here. Stars, you'll all be stars. Every single one will be a star that comes on here. Just other real life women that can come in and explain their experiences, because I know, when I was going through some of my stuff, if I would have had someone that said, hey, that's normal, it's okay, don't stress too much, that would feel great. I would have really loved that. So I thought, why not just show up and do this and be real in the community and put it out there. I personally kind of stepped back from the entertainment, watching, movies and TV as much, and I really just started enjoying podcasts and YouTubes, is that what the kids are calling it these days? YouTubes. And I just thought, what a better time and then to do this, and we're going to stumble through it. So that's kind of my whys, but let me pass that over to Kayla, and she's going to let you know why she wanted to get in on this. Obviously to have fun with me all the time, but I'm sure there's more reasons. Go for it, girl, go.
My whys and whats for getting into this are simple. I always used to tell my dad when I was a little girl that one day I was going to be paid to talk. So this fits into my ideals perfectly, and Brandy and I couldn't align more on our reasonings. I have really noticed a mass decline in human connection and interaction, so me being the sensitive being that I am, it's deeply saddening. People straight up avoid contact of any kind, as well as separate themselves from others when they're passing by, like we have the plague or something. I know it's all in good measures, but it feels wrong. I miss connecting when I would go out and run errands. I miss people being polite and smiling, maybe, I miss seeing people smile and offering to hold the door open. This year has been so hectic, to say the least, and don't get me wrong, because I'm not an expert on this pandemic, but Jesus, that does not take away from my experiences going through it, or anyone else's. I want to connect with people again on deep levels. I've always craved that. So if we can't gather in person, let's come together on this platform and share and grow and heal together, because that's something the world needs just as much as we need COVID to fuck off. Obviously, we aren't expecting a massive payout right now, because we're just having so much fun stepping out of our comfort zones and getting to know each other and ourselves better than ever on this project. But I do have a story to tell, and I have a voice that is loud and demanding, and my presence sure isn't small. So if I can help influence for good, then why the hell wouldn't I want to be in on ground zero with my pal Brandy? I'd be crazy not to take up with this venture and go forward with all my best intentions set. So with that, I'll bid you further ado and pass the mic back over to my girl B and let her walk you through our setup.
Yes, I just love all the reasons behind the podcast. It makes it really easy and fun to want to get up every day and work towards it somehow. I mean, we've been working on it for so long at this point, and I think we've both recorded things so many times, but the way to do it is just you have to suck your way through it. That didn't sound good. Those are going to be things that I'm not going to edit out because that's going to be funny later, but yeah, we'll get better to it. But I just wanted to revisit the themes and topics just a little bit more, just to give you guys kind of a little bit more of an idea of what we have planned. And also, of course, we want to hear from you. So what would you guys want us to talk about? Any experiences that me and Kayla have gone through? If you yourself want to come on here, we always want to bring everybody in and have all sides. We really want to show different perspectives and different experiences so that people can kind of understand a little bit too that most of the time, once you start talking about it, everyone is for the same thing. They just experience it differently. So, for example, of course, we're going to speak about mental health when it comes to things like anxiety and body image and depression and the different, PTSD things that we have worked through on either a high or low scale. Again, not having any sort of medical expertise, just what we've gone through, and talking about our experiences, especially with like the fitness industry, the oil field, the corporate world, being a female these days, and being stuck in the middle of wanting like women empowerment to, wanting to have equality, those types of things, growing up in diverse families, such as like things as divorce and marriage, to, some of the really uncomfortable talks that, aren't out there, like things like miscarriage and abortions, and how we've dealt with those situations in our lives. We're going to make sure, don't worry guys, to put trigger warnings at every show that has anything that could be triggering. So we of course want to talk about our experiences and get it out there, but in no way, shape, or form do we want any of our episodes to be painful for anybody to listen to. So if there is anything, we will make sure that we put a little disclaimer if we are going to dive deep into things, just so that you guys are aware. We totally understand not everyone heals the same, so we hope that you understand that this is how we've chose to deal with our painful events in our lives or our experiences, and this is how we want to heal in hopes that we can help others. But if it's not for you, you guys, we totally understand that. Just skip on through to the next episode. We are here for it. Or if you want to talk about it, then please get in touch with us. We would love to hear your sides and your experiences and help in any way we can. Only good vibes over here. Only good vibes. So the next part of this is we wanted to give you guys a little bit of highlight of who we are, just tiny bit. And then episode 2, we're going to dive even deeper. And as we go on the show, it's going to get deeper and deeper. So let's start with me, my highlight. So to jump right in, my name again is Brandy. And before I give you a quick idea of who I am and what I've gone through, I want to say first that I'm extremely grateful to have a place to share my story. So above all else, thank you very much for listening. A lot of my story has always seemed somewhat normal to me. I never found that I have gone through a lot or have gone through anything really crazy or crazy traumatic, just so that maybe I was just a little bit alone in these experiences. But I guess that's what your brain does to protect you, right? I always try to see the good in everything. Now, I'm not saying that I have a very insane, dark past, but there were times I had my struggles and I've been through a lot. Oddly enough, I usually try to discredit any of that shit, but I'm definitely working on owning my story instead of lessening its importance. Hence, the whole story behind the show. But in short, I grew up on Vancouver Island, a child of divorce with each side growing families of their own when I was 12, and previous to this, the only child. Yes, after 12, that was plenty of diapers, plenty of babysitting, and probably the most effective birth control on the planet. I spent a lot of time with my decently large family. We're very traditional in the sense where we get together a lot, we adventure a lot together. My fondest memories are those exploring the beautiful island or just relaxing by the lake, and definitely every holiday was made super special family-wide. I have somewhat typical jobs growing up, from paper routes to A&W to Dairy Queen in my very early ages. And my aunt and my grandmother also owned a bookstore that I worked at throughout my life, also working for a home heating company right out of college, and as well as a waitress on the island. I never planned on leaving, but a financial situation had me uprooting to the cold north, starting me in Red Deer and then eventually landing me shortly after in Grand Prairie. I spent a decade in Grand Prairie building my career, myself, my business, and the lasting friendships and relationships that I have to this day. I've had many wins and celebrations in my life, like graduating with a bilingual diploma, completing a year of business administration, successfully moving to Alberta in my early 20s, and then eventually to my dream city in my 30s. I've had the pleasure of working in several different fields, managing a few oil field companies, then by ending my Grand Prairie career in the best industry possible, starting as a bud tender and working my way up to management. We then moved to Kelowna, where I work as an inventory control in the exact same industry. I've operated and owned my own small photography business for over 8 years. I've been a fitness instructor for countless amazing gyms, reaching tons of different people on my fitness journey. I've been blessed enough to see a part of different parts of the world, even though COVID's making that a bit harder now. But I have many amazing humans in my life. But equally so, I've dealt with some pretty heavy shit. I grew up in a very small, gossipy town where I found it was really hard to grow and grow up. I've had many family members addicted to something, myself included, on many levels. There was a lack of mental health awareness in the 80s and 90s. I think we're all finding that very true right now as we're all dealing with it. I've dealt on and off with eating issues and body image issues from a young age. I've been in many car accidents, triggering very bad PTSD when driving and led to a pill addiction on top of many physical setbacks, plus leading to panic attacks while driving. I've been an anxiety warrior for longer than I can recall. I have been through divorce myself, also having my parents divorce, as well as watching those close to me and very recently. I've had massive issues internally with my lady parts, sorry guys, to the point where leading to a miscarriage and more problems with my period than I can even imagine. But over time, physically, I've recovered from those car accidents, my terrible relationship with food. After years of rebuilding, I have worked to balance my hormones, my mental health naturally, and I'm somewhat more hormonally balanced than I ever have been. Give me a break. I'm still working on it though. And that's just the surface of shit, guys. I'm really just trying to give you a highlight and a little bit idea. This is not what this episode or this podcast is about, is just to share all my hardships and wins. I just wanted to give you an idea of the experiences I've been through on both ends, the good and the bad. I think for me, the most celebration is being vulnerable enough and strong enough to share my experiences out loud now. Exposing myself to potential backlash, comments, or hate, and at the end of the day, though, it'll all be growth and more self-awareness. I'm welcoming it and I'm excited for it. I'm hoping to resonate with at least one other human being through this venture and maybe help them in a way, and at the end of it, maybe my story can help them too. And that's all I ever wanted, just to help people. In my current life, I really celebrate that I have so many amazing people in my life with a great support system. There's so much awareness now with mental health. It's overwhelming. I have worked through so many triggers that I can now drive without a panic attack. I live in the most beautiful city in Canada with the guy I'll be spending the rest of my life with. Our fur babies are happier than ever, and we both continually get to advance in our industries and live the life that we really wanted. I'm not saying for a damn second that I have any fucking clue how anything works, but if sharing my experiences from where I was to where I am now, my wins, my losses, and everything in between, if that can help someone, that's my ultimate goal in life. That's really why I felt like I'm here. I think that's a pretty good highlight and a pretty good sum up for me for now. We'll dive deeper into episode 2 and I'll give you guys a better idea of who I am. And as we get deeper into these episodes and we start tackling these big topics, I'll definitely share everything with you guys. But for now, I'm going to pass the mic back to my girl Kay, and she's going to tell you all about her.
All right, this is like a million takes in the making, but thank you, Brandy, for handing the mic over so I can introduce myself fully. Hello, I'm Kayla, but my friends usually call me Kay. Now, before I get anywhere or start dissecting my life, from beginning to now, I feel it's pretty important for me to speak on where I'm at with all of my life and its shit that entails it. I need to speak freely, and for me to do that, I need to be upfront. This is my life, my experiences, and how they made me feel, think, or react. Let me just take a moment to reflect on the simple fact that I am not the same fire-fueled, angry girl I once was. I do carry parts of her with me, but she does not define me anymore. So when I'm speaking on tragedies or even successes, please keep in mind I have and continue to shift. Hell, I'm not even the same person I was yesterday. So with that, I'm an Alberta-born girl adopted and raised by the best parents. They say you can't pick your family, but in my case I did. There's so much color to my life that I cannot wait to share with you guys. Some dark, some light, and everything in between. We lived just outside of Grand Prairie my entire childhood, on a beautiful acreage tucked discreetly behind a wall of trees. Ours was the only house you couldn't see from the road if you were passing by, and I loved that. We had so much space and so much privacy. We grew up blessed. To have been adopted and to be able to spend my life growing up with the two people who raised me, I really had it good that way. I do have one sibling who happens to be the exact same age as me, but contrary to popular belief, we are not actually twins. He was also adopted, but from a whole separate family biologically. The two of us were inseparable from the moment we met to being siblings for the last 20-some-odd years of our lives. We were like any other sibling pair, so of course, we fought, but there's one thing that I know to this day is my little bro will always have my back. The two of us will be gracing our 30s this year, and what a wild fucking ride. I had pretty much all of my experiences from love to heartbreak all throughout my entire time in Grand Prairie. Coming from a place of anger for the better part of my life, I had a tendency to switch things up a lot, never sticking to the same group of friends like everyone else did. I'd go where the thrill was. I was a junkie for that feel-good. I didn't want to have to sit down and deal with myself or my pains that haunted me, and this was so prevalent throughout all my decisions and actions throughout my life, and sometimes a little to this day. My parents owned and ran their own custom precast company, which provided the city and surrounding area with all its needs in anything precast. I grew up in that shop. It's every bit of who I am today, and for the longest time, the dream was to take it over and run it for my parents. But life had other plans.
Fast forward to 2015, and I'm pregnant with my first. That was the year everything changed. I've been living in a whirlwind phase ever since he graced me with his tiny presence. It wasn't long after he was born that I knew we needed to change for the better, so we packed up and I left home for good. I am now on Vancouver Island, the happiest I've ever been, dating my best friend, and at 29 decided to quit my career in the trades and go back to school to get my certification in social work. As for the rest, well, we will just have to keep talking if you want to know more.
Okay, I love that so much. Thank you for that. That was great. I really love with this whole process the most is how much we're getting to know each other, and I can't wait to get to know everybody else in the community as well. So I think that about wraps it up for our first episode, guys. We wanted to give you a quick little introduction of who we are, what we're doing this for, and what you guys can expect. We're really excited to jump further in more detail in episode 2 and then really get started on topics like body image, anxiety, those kind of things for this month.
And with that, our next episode, we're just going to take a little bit of a deep dive into who we are personally, myself and Brandy, so you guys can get to know us a little bit better and why we're doing this.
Lucky friends. All right, guys, we'll talk soon. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you guys so much for stopping by today. We appreciate you so much. If you like this episode and you want to hear more or be updated with episode drops, please make sure to send us some love on our Instagram page, the Be Real Babe Podcast. Give us a follow and stay tuned for more realness coming to you next week. Until next time, babes.